Good afternoon, everyone. China says can't rely on world markets for food any longer. Brace for rationing. French already considering food stamps. Russia stopping wheat exports. Ukraine not going to plant. They don't have the seed. And they're not tilling. Food shortages inbound. So fictitious numbers from the USDA saying a third down. So 1/3 of zero is still zero. Monthly FOB, massive spike. Grains. Diesel prices easily going to make our food double the cost. Look at Los Angeles, $9 a gallon. Bring in the weather, massive front, shifting jet streams. Talk about blasts from the past. There shall be signs in the skies. Steel exports, that's next. Look for it. Inflation, hyperinflation, Germany producer index, Loch Ness monster. And if you want a blueprint for what's next, manias, panics, and crashes. And you'll come to the end of the book asking yourself, how much bread will this piece of gold buy you? The new normal? Uncertainty is the new normal. War, pandemics, partisan politics, and Jerome Powell. There's a consistent sense of tension, fear, and anxiety since this pandemic. The stock market's gotten crushed, our national debt soared, and inflation pummeling most Americans. Since March 2020, gold's up 30% and silver doubling. Now we have Goldman Sachs, Bank of America, and Wells Fargo all forecasting gold well above $2,000 an ounce in 2022, and even potential price targets of $3,000. Call the Patriot Gold Group today before it's too late. Patriot Gold Group has the no fee for life IRA, where your IRA or 401k can be in physical gold and silver, and you may be eligible for the no fee for life IRA on qualifying rollovers. Call 1-800-356-4470 for a free investor guide today. And with the knowledge that Patriot Gold Group is Consumer Affairs' top-rated gold IRA dealer from 2016 to present, click on the link in the description box below for more information. And now on with the video. Oh, in 2022, everything seems to be dovetailing right now. We have the food, the energy, the commodities, and it seems like dollars are just shrinking away. And when you look at the wider landscape, everything seems to sink into the next set of variables. Here's one. Xi Jinping says China cannot rely on world markets for food security. Well, they've been buying so many grains, it's making global markets spin. But here's where we get into the smoke and mirrors show. Ukraine's corn harvest may plunge by a third. That's coming out of the USDA. We know there's going to be massive declines in the area of the Black Sea. It seems like there's a blockade right now and exports have ceased, fertilizers have ceased. But here's the thing not a lot of people are talking about. The planting seed going in. I don't care what crop it is, it's not being delivered. So in addition to the planting and the tilling being far behind, if it occurs at all, the seed and then the Roundup activator for a lot of the seeds that are GMO, just not going in the ground. So the USDA is saying, well, it might decline by a third. I do simple math and go, a 0 times 0 is still 0. If it's not planted, I don't care if you subtract a third off of 0, it's still 0. And in the top right, Hoosier, Indiana farmer hat on. 20% of the world's grain comes from Ukraine. And here's where some math comes into play. 30% of the global exported grains cut off. Everybody's going to scramble to look up and make up that 30%, but oh wait, there was fertilizer shortages inbound anyway. 13%, 12% globally that we're going to smash and slash 12 or 13% off global production, in addition to the herbicide shortages, which are going to knock another 8 or 9% off. So anyway, without Russia happening, we were still looking at, I'll be generous and say 15% reduction in global agriculture. It was actually closer to 20, but I'll be generous and say 15. That still would have rocked the world markets. So it still looks like there's something covering for yet another excuse. Where's the supply chain breakdown where they can't get the fertilizers and the herbicides in for the farm inputs to get into the fields right now? Why is that system of delivery still broken with such an integral part of daily existence for everybody on the planet? We all eat. How come that wasn't resolved? It seems like it's planned. This is just one excuse on top of another, and they're all amplifying and exacerbating and going up into multiples. We're looking at exponential math here now on losses and price rise coming through the planting season May. That will be your first indicator. When the farmers start talking about they don't have the seed, they don't have the inputs, they don't have the fertilizer, they don't have the herbicide, then prices are going to really spike. Come into, say, September. Food riots, perhaps. We'll see. Because Macron is already talking about food stamps. The world's facing a global food crisis. And then Russia announced it's stopping all of the wheat exports. Well, you knew that was inbound anyway. Corn reserves, rice reserves, fertilizer exports, steel exports, you name it, everything's cut off from Russia. And the Putin energy shock is going to become a world food crisis, or should it repeat as Western world sanctions shock will become a world food crisis, brace for rationing. You know, we could substitute headlines here if you want to. But it all boils down to something in an unseen level never seen before, the amount of international average monthly FOB or freight on board bids. This is incredible. There is a world scramble for food right now. And if this doesn't scare you, this chart should send goosebumps all up and down your arms. But if it doesn't, you will know what this means by October of this year. Grains Council still shaking their heads at how much is wanted versus how much is not available. So here we go with the FAO. That's the Food and Agricultural Organization from our friends at the United Nations. Food prices, upside targets, 22%. That is so unrealistically low. And an 8% upside target? I mean, really, who are they joking on this? 22%, really? 2x, 3x, yes. But what's known right now with the shortages that are inbound? You're going to have to start growing your own food. Please do that. Study something, put anything, try to go for any type of yield you can so you can prove it. Get others around you to see it. Any type of yield is a positive yield. Right now, if it's microgreens or springs coming in, whatever you can do. 8%, I'm actually laughing, saying who would even print that? Just the knowledge of Russia cutting off wheat exports, that brings that into at least 50, 75, possibly doubling. So the FAO and United Nations, again, they put out rosy forecasts just like the USDA does to try to stabilize markets. And then they catch everybody off guard because they're like, well, you told us it'll only go up 8%, not 8x. This is where civil unrest and society being disrupted happens because of this kind of information. Not getting the world prepared for what's coming right now. And look at the effects of fuel prices for farmers. We're talking about diesel here, not gasoline. Tank loader of diesel in September 2020, 10 grand. Tank loader today, 2 years later, 33,000, that's a 3x increase. Look at that, just a single fill up on a tractor in 2020 was $230. But then a fill up now, $765. Well, that's one farm implement, one farm input. Now fertilizer prices doubling and tripling. Herbicides doubling and tripling. Seed costs doubling. Availability unknown across the entire sphere of agriculture. You think your prices are going to stay the same? So let's talk about gasoline, not diesel. U.S. national gasoline prices up and up and up from what? Right around $2.20 to $4.20. That is a $2 theft of wages on pricing. And I was trying to find some funny memes for this to go into the gasoline, and I thought, wow, $6, $7, that's going to shock everybody and be like, oh, wow, I can talk about this for a minute. But then here's Los Angeles at $9 already. And seeing this, it would not surprise me if it leveled off somewhere around $12. And you know, the United Nations crew has been talking about leveling fuel at $12, $13 for demand destruction. require you to take Sunday off for commerce to save fuels. Maybe they call that the Sunday law that's being implemented in a very covert way, but U.S. strategic petroleum reserves, don't count on the gov to get you out of anything. Food reserves as well are being pulled from at the moment. Inflation, legal theft of your wages in a different form other than gasoline prices. $20 what it would have bought in 1998. And that $20 will get you a stick of gum by the end of 2022. No kidding aside, the prices that you're going to see are absolutely going to destabilize our civilization in terms of food pricing and the non-availability. I had a great interview with Mike Adams where we talked about how troops are going to be stationed in supermarkets, and also they're going to be putting troops out in farmland areas, wholesale warehousing areas, because the theft will go there. And where you're consolidating an enormous amount of food, it'll have to be protected by armed troops, which means stationing troops across the farmlands of America to protect the food source at its source, dairy, grains, whatever it might be, and then also at that distribution sales point. That's coming this year with your digital rationing card. So hold your breath. It's going to be a big one. And over to gas taxes in Europe, talking in the States about gas tax holidays. Individual states could implement, maybe not. But off the tax foundation here, look at Germany and Poland, France. Has 68 euros of tax. That's per liter, not per gallon. You need to multiply by 4 almost to get that. So remember, if you're going to do easy math, I know it's not exact, so don't pin me and put my feet to the fire. Easy math. 4 liters equals a gallon. Makes it easier. Let's go down to Spain and look at that. 50 euro cents. So for each gallon, you're already spending €2 on tax alone. So you can see why the prices are so expensive. And they're color-coded by higher and lower. Go up in Finland, you're looking at 72 euro cents for each liter. So that's almost €3 per gallon that they're paying up there on the taxes. And that's on the consumer side. And then we look over here, the producers index in Germany, straight up. Do you think they're not going to pass that on to you, the consumer, as well? There's nowhere you can turn where there's not significant, if not hyperinflationary price rises inbound right this very second. Right this second. And now we need to talk about steel. Because look at Russia, the number 3 position there. Steel is used in an enormous amount of products. Oh wait, and look at steel, vertical, not even a Loch Ness Monster on this one, just straight up rocket. We've seen that with every single commodity moving forward. And the London Metals Exchange still hasn't got together after all the nickel fiasco and the suspension of trading and nullification of contracts. They still haven't gotten it together yet. Now here's an outlier. Hershey Park is going to go cashless when they open in April. But at the same time, I'm seeing this across the United States Mint, and here one Canadian Mint also. They're going to be suspending sales and shipping delays, if at all, for the Maple Leaf coins. And I'm doing a little more research about the U.S. Mint not having enough silver either. So what is it with these countries that have run out of silver to mint to sell to the citizens? Is it really that, or they're just quietly hiding it in the back room over there? Because silver and gold are going to be protection against this hyperinflationary environment we're in. Assets, land, unless they do some sort of confiscation with all the banks and they take the banks and they hold your notes and then they swoop the land from you. BlackRock has iced 9 possibilities on something like this, swirling through the winds. But solid metals in the hand, Burma mines. A little nugget you don't see every day, 4.3 ounces, 998 purity. I like that really deep recessed mint mark on that. Let's talk about extremes as well. So we got financial extremes and we got climate extremes. And look at the wind boundaries on this thing. So easy, so dangerous actually. Because where you see these lines of white compressing on themselves with the metacane right off of Spain and France there, Massive winds accompanying that, down bursts, and here's one captured as people try to escape off the beach. Look at that. It's got to be at least 100 miles an hour. And then there shall be signs in the skies. Well, this could be a plasma event of sorts where it just doesn't make sense. Not really that much explanation out there as to what would be causing this, except plasma. And I'll just leave it at that. But for more on the seeing the crystal ball of panics, manias, and crashes, you might want to check out this book. Was suggested to me as a read from a Telegram group about financial crisis and how it moves and morphs. But what I did notice off the ETF holdings here of gold back in June, July, August of 2020, right as the panic from COVID was in, look how much gold they were trying to acquire. And then we're starting to see the same thing. So there must be some massive panic coming back in the markets where the insiders know that it's time to get gold, precious metals, because something is about to swoop in. And if you're not holding it, you're going to get wiped out in the fiat. Here's 2021 gold reserves, tons of the interactive. I linked that below in the description box. Have fun with this one. Largest increases, Thailand buying up 90 tons of gold. Brazil, Hungary, India. Now look at who has been selling. Philippines. An incredible amount of gold outbound. And then we look at just Q4 2021, and India still right in that same top 5 of buyers. Kazakhstan this time. Philippines is trying to get some of it back, but Uzbekistan unloading heavy. And it just makes you wonder, really, how much food will this gold buy you in the future? I mean, there's biblical references talking about working for a day's wage to earn a loaf of bread. Are you ready for that? I got 3 words for that. Stack 'em high. And I talk more about these same events, influences across our society in many Ice Age Conversations podcasts. Please join me over there. 30 minutes at a time. Anywhere podcasts are hosted across the net. Links are in the description box below for tonight's images, stories, graphics, and my favorite supplier for storable foods, My Patriot Supply. I do thank you for watching. Hope you got something out of the video, and I will see you next time.